Every other country celebrates their victories. It's about time America did too. And watching this magnificent display, America stands tall, America stands proud. Our souls are filled with gratitude. 250 years later, we're the hottest country in the world right now. America stands free.
This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now.
I've always been conflicted with the notion of being an American. On one end, I know how hard my family worked to give me the privilege to grow up here and give me the opportunity to pursue anything I wanted. The idea of America that we're told as kids is a place where we're all welcome, freedom and equality reign, and where the people decide who leads and who doesn't. But the reality is much darker. America was built on the backs of genocide to the indigenous natives. There's persistent racism and prosecution. I mean, even Hitler was inspired by America's own Jim Crow laws. And the thing that fuels all of this is our capitalistic and military-industrial complex. It further widens the gap between the rich and the poor and dictates our domestic and foreign policy. Even then, there are many people that still dream to live in America for the promise of a better future. Hence the conflict of being an American. It's easy for me to speak up against the country, but at the same time I recognize the privilege of growing up here. 65% of polled Americans believe in universal healthcare that provides coverage for all. 54% believe that addressing climate change should be a very high priority for our government. 78% want a ceasefire to end the genocide in Palestine and an arms embargo to Israel. 64% believe undocumented immigrants should have a way to stay in the US and not get deported. So it seems that the majority of Americans actually want more policy that is empathetic and favors basic human rights. But why is American policy going the other way then? Back in 2008, during the Democratic primaries for president, a conservative nonprofit called Citizens United produced a documentary smearing Hillary Clinton called Hillary the Movie, and planned to run it on cable TV along with a couple of TV ads. But because they would be paying for these ads with corporate funds, the Federal Election Commission said, no way. Citizens United then went back and sued the FEC for this decision. And although the initial lower court agreed with the FEC, Citizens United appealed once more and took it to the Supreme Court, claiming the act and decision to block the ads and film violated the First Amendment and shouldn't mute this form of protected speech simply because it comes from a corporate bankroll. A couple of years later, on January 21st, 2010, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Citizens United striking down the ban on corporate and union spending for independent political ads, citing that Citizens United's films and ads were protecting speech. However, one limit did still exist. The people that wanted to invest in these types of political action committees or corporations or unions for election messages were limited to $5,000 a year. But as fate would have it, that limit also changed just 6 weeks later in a court case called Speech Now versus FEC. Speech Now argued that $5,000 contribution limit was unconstitutional, using Citizens United as a precedent. And the court ended up ruling in favor of Speech Now. So what was the result of these two court cases? Well, the FEC had to update its rulebook, allowing these types of organizations to raise unlimited money from individuals, unions, corporations, whoever, paving the way for the creation of a political action committee, also known as the Super PAC, that can spend unlimited money on influencing politics that align with their own personal interests, so as long as they didn't coordinate with the candidate. And just like that, the floodgates opened up. Within the first year of the FEC adjusting its rulebook, 89 organizations registered to be one. By 2025, there are now more than 2,500 Super PACs. Campaign fundraising goes from $89 million to $5 billion in 2025. $2 billion of that came from undisclosed sources, aka dark sources. This is money that can't be traced back to a particular donor. By 2018, 95% of super PAC money came from billionaires. And in 2024, the candidates that spent the most money were backed by super PACs and won the majority of the House and Senate races. This year, Congress blocks passing the Disclose Act for the 4th time, which would make it mandatory to disclose where donor money came from. This isn't just a Republican thing or a Democratic thing. Super PACs make sure both sides are just two sides of the same coin. They serve to keep the system in power.
Tyranny requires constant effort. It breaks, it leaks.
What do you think happens when 95% of super PAC money comes from billionaires? Do you really think that they're backing candidates who fight for the public or candidates who protect their interests? The only way to get rid of super PACs now is for a constitutional amendment or a Supreme Court reversal on the issue. And this will only happen when public sentiment is too large to ignore.
And know this, the day will come when all these skirmishes and battles, these moments of defiance will have flooded the banks of the empire's authority, and then there will be one too many. One single thing will break the siege.
For the longest time, super PACs have buried candidates that went against their interest. But now we're seeing a brand new hope. Zoran Mamdani ran a grassroots campaign and beat a billionaire super PAC candidate, Andrew Cuomo. This was for the Democratic mayoral nominee for New York City. He's an immigrant who raised all his campaign funds with no affiliated super PACs backing him, all from the people.
In these dark times, I know that it is harder than ever to keep faith in our democracy. It has been attacked by billionaires and their big spending, by elected officials who care more about self-enrichment than the public trust, and by authoritarian leaders who rule through fear. But above all, our democracy has been attacked from within.
People are waking up and everyone is fighting in their own way. There are a few ways that you could join the fight. One is by voting clean against candidates that are associated with super PACs, pressuring your local reps, boycott and divest from brands that serve against your interests or the people's interest, and keep posting and using your own voice. I've listed a bunch of resources in the comments and description. There's a full script and sources listed on my Substack, so feel free to check them out. I know this might be a lot to take in, so if you're still watching, I appreciate it. Some might say this video is unpatriotic, but calling out the problems of your country and trying to address it is the most patriotic thing that you can do. Let's make the idea of America we were taught as kids of freedom, humanity, and justice for all a reality. Thanks for watching.
Inside